What's going on, guys? Time for the YouTube recap. Let's get into it. So here on the X, we're coming into a little bit of some interesting longs. We had a buy swap this morning. So we had seen some longs partake here in the pre-markets. We grabbed some low hits, then we built a little bit higher low, came up, but we ended up shying these. We did not get target, and we said we're trying to get over 19,800 in my chat. We always post a couple little free snippets here on the X here or there for looking for levels. These levels are still in play above 19,800, so they will be coming sooner than later. Now, we didn't hit these quite yet, but I want to get up to 19,818 because of some pre-market volume that we have. Now, we identified a trend change and caught some really nice shorts out of the gate here this morning, as you see the P&L updated. So we're going to get into those right now. Now, how did we do the bias swap and what was going on, right? Well, we had some interesting daily levels along with a whole bunch of Fibonacci retracement points that were really big. So I picked an over-under level here, and we're going to delete this blue zone so we got to see a little different. The over-under on SPY was here. And our initial trade plan was long out of the pre-market up to the 100 EMA. Okay, this was the trade plan, and that's in the green, and the 200 SMA, which is right here in the peach salmon color. Now, we caught this long up to there, and then we said we had an over-under level. It was either over 479.81, or it was going to stay under, and we start losing that. Now, you can notice we came up, hit our long target, and poof, she just went to the downside, which is fine. It actually gave us a lot of signals today that actually helped us out with that. If we back up pre-market a little bit here, back into about 6:30 a.m., notice this first drop into the double bottom that actually knocked our RSI here into the lower channel. And when the RSI is floating from the 50 to the 30, that is the lower channel and predominantly good for downtrends. Now, we also have that in the MACD here, where the MAC had swapped to the downside. Moving averages come down. It is under the zero line. We treat this just like the 50 point on the RSI. So it is into negative territory in the moving averages. Recrossed and went to the downside. So leading into the pop to drop mini, we were looking at the 100 EMA as the last long. And then if it would above that and went, sure, we can go chase down those 19,800 plus targets, which we are going to keep on deck because they will be coming. And now we have the down because of the Fibonacci. Now, what fib do we use and why? Well, I'll give you some pretty basics here. Thursday's engulfing candle, right? So I fibbed out the body of Thursday's engulfing candle. Friday was trapped in the engulfing candle, right? And now that becomes half point. So I fibbed out the body just like always. And the halfway point, 50%, was the over-under, 479.81. That's where we got that. So as we came into intraday and noticed that we had hit our target of the 100 EMA, 200 SMA, 666, all for the loss of support and hit of resistance, we came under that 479.81 Fibonacci. So once we were under this and under the golden pocket, we had a 100% chance to go to the fill up of the Fibonacci, the body. So this is the bottom of Thursday's candle right here at 474, the body of it, not the low. This is the close, and it's 478.84. That's the close of Thursday. And that was why we had taken it down from the GP. This is the golden pocket of the Thursday. And once it loses that, we will magnet down to 475, which is the Thursday close. Now, we also have a couple different other magnets here. That blue dash line, the large one you see here, is the 10 SMA daily. That is a daily representation, and the red one is a 50. So this is the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA on the daily time frame, just coded inside our 5-minute chart so we can see it. Now, this 10 SMA and 50 right here has everything to do with a magnet support as well. Now, we already hit this back on Thursday, right? So coming back down to it again and slicing through it was no big deal because we don't consider that a first tag. We've hit the 50 SMA multiple times as we come into the effect of the day and the week and where we've been trading for the month. Now, as we come into the daily chart here, remember, we put a prediction out saying it would come into this weekly box. And if it maintained the weekly fib box, it would go to the golden pocket, come back down. Now it's in decision-making engine. Are we going to hold this, head back up to fill the final gap on Qs? Or do we fall back down to this gap and or even the gap that it left near the 100 EMA to find support so we can get another dip by to all-time high? Those are the only two scenarios we're looking at. Price action that stays above the 50 SMA and inside this weekly box, which is 476.23. If we end up closing above that the next day, chopping it and then pushing back up, we will get higher highs into the golden pocket. We will push the gap and we have an opportunity to push further. If we go lower to fill both gaps, we're going to get that all-time high push as well. So both are going to be subject to further confirmation and trend and chilling, but we're in a very good setup. So that's how our bias was. Now, how did we get our fat trade? Well, we did a lot of trade scalps, and before I left my team, I gave them this outlook for the day. I said we have two outlooks, and it's because of VIX. The volatility index left us with a gap at $16.67. That is from yesterday's trade action here. And I said, this gap needs to fill before you can go back long. So the VIX came back up, shied it. It did not click into 1667, comes down for the consolidation, pushes, closes 1667 and fails. This was the trade plan I gave the team before we left. Now, because the VIX had finally filled that gap, we have an opportunity to go long. So of course, my trade plan, I said, wait for the higher low and then wait for the structure to build after the VIX tags. So not only do we have signals here in the MACD after 10 a.m., I told them after 10:30 would probably happen. Well, here's your push back to that weekly 476.23 fall, right? Back to the weekly again. But what did we build? Higher low on structure, micro higher high. Okay. And I told them to look for this higher low, right? There's only two things that was going to happen, or it was going to come down to the higher low, or it was going to break into a fresh low, scam, and go higher. Regardless, the RSI and MACD both signaled along with the higher low we were talking about to look for as we grinded back up. My target, I said we could probably get back up to that 100 EMA, but now it's looking like I could actually come back to 666 or even higher if we start to maintain above 476.23. So right now, the best bet is to watch this play for the next higher low to break up to get that 100 EMA, and you're going to get that. If we break over that, it's going to go to the 200, and that was our trade call. And that was developed all off of the VIX gap. And that is just such a stellar move. Now, to get into some of the other stuff that we use is anchor view apps. So I'm going to hop into the anchors that we had called for back test as well and show you a little interesting QQQ anchors for these. Now, the bottom is a little choppy low here, but I do want to bring up that it was a snap. So we're going to take this. We're going to ignore the other ones here. We're going to take it, put it at low a day. We got a loop and swoop. So this top anchor was the one I said that once it builds a higher low, we will come back to. We showed this on my chat and scream in Discord, and we came back down, and here's the anchor in question. There's the tag I was talking about. Here's the higher low I said before it even happened. I told everybody that right here at 10:30. I said, let it fall down, come into a higher low, push, and you will find this top-down anchor that was developed off the opening candle right here. Right? Never hit action, never hit action, never hit action, leaving those gaps, never hitting our line. So when it did base a low and higher low structure, it was going to come back for the anchor, right? Perfect. Now you can see where the next higher low is, I guarantee, by taking this, moving it over to the next higher low, and lo and behold, that's where the support is. These are rolling anchors for support and resistance. We use these for extra confirmation on trend with Fibonacci moving averages and the regular VWAP. These are anchor VWAPs. Now they come in very, very clean and handy as we are setting trend. We're most likely going to do a 3 up, which is 1 push, 2 push, and 3. It's going to set us up. Now, we do have some stuff like fair value gaps and so on and so forth up here where you see these demand areas and supply areas that needed to be hit, and demand up here. Most likely a bit hit first. I don't see anything else that's overly abundantly to the downside that has not filled yet or it came very close to. So I think for that last trade, I think we're just going to stay long. And the targets for the NQ coming into these longs, right? So we had those couple anchors right here that guaranteed are long. That's all I wanted to take away here from here. I told you to watch for the higher low for the team, push back up. That was your target. Now it's anybody's game into consolidation. I don't make any predictions through the far afternoon. This last prediction we made was clear and cut, right? Now coming into, I think, our swim real quick, come back, look at the NQ. Not last but not least here. Okay, I still want 19,818. Now, we have a couple different volume potential zones up here that are just too clean to miss. And I think something's going to happen, whether it be into tomorrow or later into the day, that we're just going to get this higher low, higher high squeeze set. And it's just going to go bonkers to me. And I think we're going to come back up to that 19,800, which we had failed back here. And I was looking for this double bottom right here to come up for the scalp before we went down. And that's fine. That did not hit. But since that did not hit, we actually came down to some huge supply algorithms that got tagged on this low right here. Now it's actually ready for the big move. So this is actually having a lot bigger upside potential than previously expected, especially from the VIX gap being filled at 1667. So without the VIX having a magnet to run up to on the old VIXie, the market has more breathing room to move back up, up, and up. So regardless, the 666 is something that was more of a chop tag, 666 SMA. It's that light purple right by the 200 SMA salmon color here. It's the light purple is the 666. So this little double bottom that we had chopped and then, popped a drop, which we called there at the long of the 100 EMA and got out, this can remove all the way back to that 666 that was really non-conformational. We got chopping here where it pushed into it, chopped it, and then washed it, but we never got a back test to kind of continue that downside, which would continue a magnet back up in price action instead, because we never got a clear cut live tag of resistance. We actually opened up right, into the 666, chop, washed away, and then came all the way back to that runner. So I think we're going to get a nice runner here in continuation to the upside. MACD will support that by doing this after the MAC line. RSI will support it by doing this to get back into the top channel. And this thing actually has some wings for the rest of the day if it wants to get hold above that 10 SMA and start moving back up. Now, we could wait for further catalyst, because I'm not opposed to hitting these targets later on. Especially when we have data PC at the end of the week, but we will come back up here some of these areas. On ES, I do have a whole bunch of zones as well that need to be back tested on this other chart that I can't show you my algorithm protocols on, but we have targets as high as 5712 over here. So I have targets up in the 5712 area, which lo and behold kind of matches up with a certain golden pocket Fibonacci up here, right? So once this happens to start climbing back up, I'll give you a hint. It's above yesterday's close. Anything above this ES level, we're going to come up to 56, 72, 90s. This is where we're going to end up. We have potential for this today, okay? And once we get onto this, once we get inside 56, 72, 98, we're coming right here to the 5700s and above, okay? So unless we get that pullback to the gap zones and, we see some measure to the downside, we are still in a beautiful uptrend, and we still have all the potential to continue here. If we look at ES's daily chart and the macro trend of things, the MAC is still above, the RSI is still consolidating, and we're still creating higher lows on the daily chart. So we're not going to sit here and assume that we're just going to roll over on nothing without a confirmation, right? So watch for the long continuation, and I'll see you guys above 5,700 at the ES probably this week. No problem getting up to 5716. That'll be the call for this week by Friday. Now, if you guys find any value here in the channel, we do have links to trade with Apex, to trade with Top Step, or if you want to come trade with us at Boiler Room Trading, watch me narrate this stuff live every single morning. We try to get you in by 8 a.m. Central. We got a half-hour pre-market breakdown live on screen share. Then we talk about and everything in our Discord as we go through and speak on every little tiny thing. We have a immense community of very educated, amazing people. So if that sounds awesome to you, great. If not, we'll see you on the next YouTube. You guys take care.